Tell me about yourself. What got you into art?
I've been drawing since I was around 4 years old, and I would say like it was my mom that probably got me into art, or it was probably like a combination of both my mom and my dad. I always say I'm more inspired by music than I am visual art, because my dad was a musician. He still is a musician, but my dad's a musician. My mom sang for the church, and she used to sing all around the house too. And I always loved how music made me feel. It made me feel like I was connected to something like bigger than myself sometimes, and it made me feel like that I was connected to other people at times too. Because there would be often times where I would feel something that I wouldn't quite know how to articulate it, but I found that songs could definitely articulate how I felt. You know,
They're all feeling the same way too.
Exactly.
So you can get that relation.
Right, and it's like a connection thing, you know. And I found that it was that connection that was really important.
Much of your recent work involves the use of cardboard. Can you elaborate on this aesthetic choice?
Yeah, absolutely. So a lot of my cardboard work has started a little bit before the pandemic hit, but definitely ramped up when the pandemic started ramping up itself. I was living with my mom at the time back in the Bronx, and I was going through a sort of artist block where drawing couldn't articulate the feelings that I was feeling, you know, and it felt like a language to which I was running out of words. And I think at the end of the day, it was just how can I make art fun, and how can I like find a newfound love for art, you know? I often think like art often translates to ideas that go outside of art or just beyond art. So one of those being love, you know? So like there's a superstition that once you fall in love, then you're in love forever. But like, no, like love takes work, you know? You have to like choose that thing every day, you know, that whether it's like a friend, a family, or whatever, you know, like you're choosing to love them actively.
That makes sense.
Yeah.
You have to commit.
It's like a commitment towards
It's not just something that you get. Yeah.
Exactly. It's not something that just
It's not
like,
just free dopamine.
Exactly. It's not free dopamine. You know, you have to like kind of you have to think about that. You know, you have to like see what it is that you love about them, because otherwise it just becomes obsession, you know, and compulsion. Like I think that those things have its place, but when it comes to like true love, like you really it takes work, you know. And so it's like that was me working on how to fall in love with my craft again during the time where I felt as though I was falling out of it, you know. And by spending time with it, I developed something new, spiced it up, you know.
Much of your art seems to explode, both in terms of the wide array of bright colors used, but also in a literal sense, with matter often spilling out beyond where their boundaries would normally lie. What's drawn you to this style in particular?
Yeah, I think the short answer to that question is I create things that I would want to see, but I don't see, you know? And so I see that sometimes a lot of art that I have surrounded myself around, or a lot of art that I've seen over the years, has kind of relied on certain boundaries maybe, whether it's the boundary of the frame, or the boundary of like a gallery wall, or the boundary of what like art is traditionally. But I find that the art that I want to see like kind of move past those boundaries in a way. Also an image that comes to mind too is Akira Toriyama, the
Dragon Ball Z.
Yeah, and so like, and his older manga, he had played with panels a lot, where like Goku would like break panels like physically, and I thought that was so dope. Like no other manga artist was doing that. To
It
the
just
point
illustrates his raw power.
Yeah, that speaks to like the character's power.
Right.
Yeah.
It conveys a stronger message than you could just convey with regular text.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly. And I find by playing with our perceptions of what is supposed to be there, of what is built up, like through characters such as that, and through ways such as that, then it leaves room for expansion, and it leaves room for a deeper level of expression.
Much of your art seems to incorporate stray body parts, such as eyes, ears, noses. What is the purpose of these inclusions?
I grew up in like a religious home. You know, I grew up, my mom is Christian. My dad, he was raised like Muslim, and so I have Muslim on my side of my family as well. Buddhism was also a strong spiritual practice on my grandmother's side, and just like also these strong ideas of spirituality, like in a general sense, like, you know, like the belief in God, the belief that I don't know, that it's just more than you, kind of, you know. And I think that this idea of a hand kind of stems from that. You know, this hand that you can't see a body to, it's kind of just off screen. It's like manipulating things within a composition, or it's like picking things up, or it's like doing something that feels like that it comes from elsewhere, you know? So I think that hand often symbolizes like kind of just maybe my experience with God, or my experience with this idea of something greater.
How much can customers expect to pay for your work?
Honestly, and it's really bad professional practice, but I would like to get to a point where like, I can give like stuff away for free. You know, like
That's admirable.
Yeah. I feel like
and it makes sense. You don't want to monetize something that you have such a passion for, right?
Yeah. And
you want to be able to just do it because you want to, for no other
Exactly.
reason than that. That makes sense.
For that exact reason.
Mhm.
Yeah, that exact reason. Like
Yeah.
I don't do this with the intention of like how much can I sell this for, you know?
Right.
I remember I had a conversation with a curator or a gallerist, and she was telling me what I should be pricing my work as, you know? And that was back in like 2017, 18 or something. But I still kind of priced my work at that same
Gotcha.
price. I think that was like, for the bigger pieces, like 300 or something like that.
Tai's work will be featured at the gallery at Duende during the second half of the month of April and during the month of May. Don't miss the opening of Surrealism and the Hood during April 15th from 3 p.m. to 8 p.m.